When it comes to key issues like the economy here in the United States, immigration, ISIS, Republican voters trust Donald Trump more than they trust the other Republican candidates. That, according to a brand new CNN ORC poll. But Trump's immigration plan is drawing mixed reviews from some of the other Republican candidates. The Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker says Trump's plan is similar to his. Others, however, say support the idea of ending birthright citizenship included in the 14th Amendment, but not the rest of Trump's immigration plan.
Donald Trump's 8-page plan is absolute gibberish. It is unworkable. Mitt Romney said his biggest mistake as a candidate for president was embracing self-deportation. That hurt our party. Donald Trump's plan is forced deportation.
I'm open to doing things that prevent people who deliberately come to the U.S. for purposes of taking advantage of the 14th Amendment, but I'm not in favor of repealing it. I haven't read his plan. I've only read press accounts of some of them. Obviously, there's some ideas that have merit, but the majority of it is really not a workable plan that could ever pass Congress.
Let's bring in our political commentators, S.E. Cupp and Tara Setmayer. Let's talk about this immigration plan. S.E., the first major position paper of Trump's campaign. He says more will be released in the coming days and weeks. How did he do on this one?
You know, it's a lot more substantive and specific than I expected, and than we've heard from Trump on this or any other issue. So he went into some detail. I agree with Rubio that there's a lot of what Trump wants to do that would be unworkable. But let me just point out, unworkability and high cost, two qualities common to almost every piece of hypothetical legislation you've ever heard about, including something called Obamacare. So the idea that Trump's ideas would cost a lot of money and might not be completely 100% workable, it's nothing really new in politics.
Tara, the poll, our new poll, shows that Trump has a huge lead over his nearest rivals, 11 points ahead of Jeb Bush, for example. How worried should the Bush camp be at this point?
Well, I think they should be quite concerned, even though some of the donors are coming out saying, no, you know, we're not concerned. It's a slow and steady race, and Bush is exactly where he wants to be to try to take down. But we all know that Jeb Bush has suffered as far as favorability, particularly among independents and Republicans. He's steadily gone down, down, down. And this latest poll, CNN poll, shows a couple of things that should be alarming for the Bush camp. Number one, it shows that Donald Trump is 20 points, 30 points ahead of him on the economy, which is going to be the number one issue concerning Americans. 44%, I believe, to 9 for Jeb Bush. Also on immigration is another issue, 45 to 13, and then even on ISIS, on foreign policy, Donald Trump is way ahead. So none of those things are good indicators for Jeb Bush, on top of a rather tepid debate performance that most people agree he didn't do his best there. He needs to step it up.
Yeah, a lot of people agree with you on that. S.E., Trump's plan for dealing with ISIS in Iraq, for example, involves bombing some of those oil fields controlled by ISIS forces to cut off the flow of money to ISIS. But several of our CNN military analysts say that would do more harm than good, and that Trump, they say, oversimplifies the situation. Here's the question. The poll shows that that Republicans at least trust him on dealing with ISIS, but can the general public, you think, are they ready for Donald Trump as commander-in-chief?
Look, when you listen to Donald Trump tell Chuck Todd that he gets his foreign policy advice by watching the shows, I think most people don't find that to be really all that reassuring. He might be doing well in the polls among Republicans on foreign policy, but no one's really been able to articulate a cogent, long-term foreign policy plan that would compete with whatever Trump has said. You have to remember that the surprising support that Trump is getting among Republicans is only surprising in the context of recent Republican history. If you think that Republicans hardened, ideological, purity-testing, squish-hating Ted Cruz types, then sure, that's surprising. But they're not. The 2010 and 2012 Tea Party success waves left a lot of Republicans behind. Republicans who might have concerns about privacy but still support the Patriot Act. Republicans who don't want amnesty and want stronger borders but don't think it's realistic to send millions of illegal immigrants home. So for those kind of Republicans, I think supporting Donald Trump makes perfectly good sense to them.
Yeah,
are you surprised, Tara? Are you surprised at how well Trump is doing?
Well, yes and no. I'll admit that I was one of the folks who was surprised that his popularity has sustained, the durability of it thus far. But the more that we see what's going on here and the more that you talk to folks, you find out that this is really about the American people being sick and tired of Washington, D.C., of politics as usual. People are frustrated and they're fearful about the direction this country is going in. They're fearful for the future of their children, and they're fearful of a government that's not listening to the people anymore. And what happens when the government doesn't fear the people, it's tyranny. So people, Donald Trump is kind of like a plow that's come in and tilled the soil over. And people are now feeling that he has a voice for them because they've been frustrated for so long. Now, something else interesting about this poll is that when people are asked, who do you think is the best candidate for the GOP to win 2016, it wasn't Trump. By 20 points, 58% of the people polled, Republicans, said they think someone else would be better suited to win the White House in November of 2016. So that leaves a 20-point margin there for another one of these candidates to step in and capitalize on the frustration and disillusionment of politics as usual. And they better do it in a way that it doesn't sound like the teacher from Peanuts. Wah. That's what people hear when they hear traditional politicians speak. Donald Trump doesn't do that at all, and he garners people's and they feel like they have a voice. So the other candidates have an in. They have a way. They need to figure out how to capitalize on it, though, because it seems as though this is temporary. But when it comes down to brass tacks, who are they going to vote for in November? It doesn't look like it's going to be Donald Trump.
Well, it looks like he's doing really well right now nationally in our new poll. He's certainly doing well in the polls in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. The question I'm beginning to ask is if he wins all three of those first states, those contests, does that push him all the way to the Republican presidential nomination, or can someone else still take it from him down the road? We'll obviously have to wait and see what happens. All right, guys, thanks very, very much. For the latest in politics, by the way, and all the presidential contenders, head over to CNNPolitics.com. Still to come.